How's it going, folks? Stu here. Big old mug of coffee this morning. We're now just under halfway through this year's London Film Festival, and I've seen 18 films so far. So yeah, I'm a need to sip this, unfortunately. But today, let's talk about one of my most anticipated films from the festival, which was Harry McQueen's Supernova, which is about a couple played by Stanley Tucci and Colin Firth, and one of them has got early onset dementia, and things are starting to progress a bit there, and so they decide to go on one last kind of, I guess, road trip through the British countryside, and we follow them through that as we take a look at what this illness is doing to them as a couple. And if that sounds like it's ripe for emotional drama, it is. It is. I cried so much through this film. I didn't know I had that much water within me. I'm serious, I know it's the easiest thing to jump onto with a film like this, but I have to get it straight out there. I was ruined. And I didn't really know too much going into this film, which, hold on, Stu, you just told us it was one of your most anticipated of the festival. It was. And literally only because I knew that Stanley Tucci and Colin Firth starred as a couple in it. That's all I knew about this film going into it. I didn't know anything about the dementia thing. So imagine my surprise when 5 minutes into this film, I discovered it was about, it's that. Well, I found this film to be incredibly moving, almost relentlessly moving. Right from about 20 minutes into this thing, the tears started coming, and they didn't really stop. You need to be in a right space for this film. But it's so beautifully done, in my opinion. I thought Harry McQueen here, I've not seen any of his previous work, but he's written and directed this one, and it feels so sincere. That's the best word I can describe this film with. Sincere. Through everything. I really loved how restrained the direction and writing felt here. And I'm not saying it would be a bad film if it was more about sort of interesting direction and doing more strange things with itself. But I just appreciated that in a strange way, it kind of felt like it knew how to just step back and let the themes and let the characters explain themselves and talk for themselves. And that means that really this film just feels like an hour and a half with a couple. It feels like you really get to dive into their brains and see what they're thinking and see how they're approaching this very difficult situation. And I found that incredibly powerful and incredibly moving. And the performances are the heart of this film. The performances and the characters are really what makes this film tick. And oh boy, were they good. Yeah, they were good. As I said, Stanley Tucci and Colin Firth are the lead couple here, and I just loved them both in this film. I just thought they both worked perfectly in these roles. I think there's sort of a risk when you come into a film like this that it's like, okay, we've got these two big famous actors playing a gay couple. Like, okay, this is just going to be one of those films. I hope you know what I mean when I say that. But quickly, as soon as this film gets going, you just forget about all that. You just forget you're watching Stanley Tucci and Colin Firth, and you are just watching this couple go through one of the most deeply upsetting, difficult, and horrible situations I think a couple could go through. And I think that's what makes it so much more moving and emotional for me. It's one of those films where, yes, you get those big narrative crescendos where things start to come crumbling down, and it's very emotional for that. But it's also the smaller moments that this film allows itself to revel in that really moved me there, and I really appreciated that from the writing and direction standpoint as well. It takes the time just to go through all of the things it needs to go through. It's just one of those films where a hug between two characters can set me off, can get me going. If I had any real issues for the film, for me, there's only really one that felt glaring to me, and that is the very end of this film, the very, very end, the way it chooses to close itself. I liked and I found effective and moving, but I can't help but feel like it closes itself just a little bit too quickly, and I don't know whether that's just me being like, I like this film and I want to see more of it, but it sort of feels like it comes to this really fantastic emotional head, and it ends at the right point for these characters, I think. I don't feel like it's got much more narrative to show, but I think pacing-wise for me, it feels a little bit like it's like, okay, yeah, sweet, we're done, bye, see ya. There are no doubt going to be people that are put off by the fact that it is such a, I don't want to use the word weepy because I think that sort of reduces it to something that it isn't. But I think it's easy for a lot of people to be like, oh, it's just a sad film hitting these beats. But honestly, I think that's sort of another reason why this film shines for me, is that it sort of avoids a lot of the problems that certain films like that can fall into. It never felt manipulative to me. It never felt cheesy. It never felt cliche. It never felt unearned. Everything just worked and everything just felt really genuine to me. But also I just find the topic and the theme at hand, dementia, so unbelievably emotional for so many different reasons, and I think this film touches on so many of those reasons really, really well. Sometimes without feeling like it's intending to. You're like, oh, that is a part of that would be really stressful and really daunting on a person. I'm crying again. I can't wait to watch it again, but also I don't want to go through that again. So it's in a weird place there for me. So yeah, Supernova went from being one of my most anticipated films of the festival to probably one of my favorite films of the festival. I've just spilt coffee on myself. Good Sunday. We're off to a good start. I was blown away by this one. It destroyed me. I thought it was beautiful. But what about you guys? Did you manage to check out Supernova at the festival? Did it work as well as it did for me on you? Or do you have no heart? Let's have a chat down below. That was cruel. It's not going to work for everyone. You don't have no heart. But you should get it checked out. See you guys tomorrow for another new review from the festival. Until next time, stay beautiful, stay safe. I can't believe I've stained it. Look at that. Right down my white t-shirt. Why do I do these things? Why do I do these things?